Good morning, everyone. Welcome to MPC Markets Morning Call on the 11th of July. Tech hit fresh record highs overnight. AI just flying above all of the chaos. Semiconductors really did lead the move last night. We saw, obviously, Taiwan Semiconductors yesterday reported an impressive 39% year-over-year surge in second quarter sales. And that easily surpassed predictions from analysts and highlighted the strength of the AI-fueled demand. We've seen Nvidia pop through $4 trillion market cap, the first company to ever do that. Apple was the first company through $1 trillion, $2 trillion, and $3 trillion. Nvidia is the first through $4 trillion. And it really underscored the sector's central role in what is almost an industrial revolution style sort of catalyst with AI moving forward. So in terms of stock markets overall, Dow was slightly down, NASDAQ, thereabouts, and S&P slightly higher. So we're not talking big gains. And obviously those European indexes over the course of the week are probably the strongest overall. The Russell, actually, the small caps index in the US, is probably the strongest for the last 5 days in the US. So not all things considered, not a lot going on in equities. We've got earnings coming up. We've got Trump. I mean, we've probably done very well given Trump's, again, throwing tantrums. I think we've done pretty well to stay up here as it is. And that momentum is really, really bullish at the moment. So if we have a look at the market map here for the day, Tesla rallied. They've applied for Arizona permits for robo-taxis. So that's starting to expand even further. I'm so nervous on Tesla, but I've got to say, underlying, I'm very bullish on. Did a deep dive on Tesla and the addressable market for the Optimus Prime robots, the robo-taxis, etc., is quite extraordinary. And despite people hating Elon, I don't think that's necessarily a reason to hate the stock. But they do tend to be one and the same quite often. So that services industry, that technology services of things like Netflix, ServiceNow, Salesforce, etc., all down a little bit overnight, quite heavy. And it was really the chip stocks and Tesla that saved us overnight. There's a little bit of patchy positivity in the banking sector and the healthcare sector. The healthcare sector might be one to keep an eye on, just on the basis that many of the medical associations in the US, some pretty heavy-hitting organisations and lobby groups, albeit probably funded by Big Pharma, have launched a massive lawsuit against RFK and the government health organisations, saying that it's negligent doing what they're doing and shifting things on policies on vaccines, etc., and it's endangering the public. So if that gets traction, we might see a big bounce in that healthcare sector because it's been really hard done by over the course of the last sort of few months. So commodities, obviously, copper still the standout. It did stabilise yesterday, but then it's headed higher again, up another 1.5%. Silver, finally, the big winner overnight, busted to fresh 15-year highs around about the 37.50 mark. And I think that's got a lot to do with a Sprott, Sprott's one of the best commodity fund managers in the world. They buy a lot of physical, etc., but they brought out a report on gold and silver in the last sort of couple of days, which did outline that there is some significant shortages in silver and gold, and central bank buying has really been absorbing it up. And the BRICS nations are turning to buying silver because they can't get enough gold, because they're trying to get out, as we know, they're trying to de-dollarize. So yeah, I think now that's broken to that 15-year high. Most consensus is, it depends. If you ask a silver bug, it's going to 300, which is ridiculous, because that'd be 10 times. But look, 45 is well within the bounds of reason. Most institutional analysts saying that's that's probably their target by year end. Iron ore, big performer. We're up 3.5% and probably nearly 10% in the last sort of 6 or 7 trading sessions. That's going to be if you combine the copper the copper rally and then the iron ore rally. I think material sector's got to be in for a decent day today on the Aussie exchange. Lithium rallying as well. Lithium is up about 5.5% for the week, but slightly outperforming iron ore, to be honest. Bitcoin still keeps going, new record highs. Again, store of value and record highs despite the US dollar actually being higher overnight. So I would say those stores of value, things like gold, things like silver, and obviously, digital gold or in Bitcoin will continue to head higher, just given the mess that is the US and and will likely bleed into the US dollar. We had Delta Airlines, one of the first earnings results coming out. They rallied after restoring full year guidance and reported record quarterly revenue. So they headed higher overnight, and we will obviously have far more next week. The boys and I had a very long meeting yesterday and went through the next couple of weeks worth of earnings. Quite like Wells Fargo, it seems to be the cheapest over there. And I do believe Netflix it's pretty expensive as it stands at the minute. It's obviously the following week where we start to get some of the big guns like Google and Tesla, etc. There's some interesting things coming up. BlackRock should do pretty well as well, but it'll be interesting to see how they go on Tuesday. And just how generally the banking sector, those quite often those first couple of earnings can give a real give you a real clue as to what's going to happen moving forward. Now, a little bit of a special thing today. The release of Elon Musk's newest AI model, Grok 4.0 or Super Grok, was released about 36 hours ago. As fairly avid AI experimenters here at MPC, I actually got it to write the ASX because it can be quite predictive, and the reasoning model is been benchmarked at definitely the best currently out there in the market. These things tend to leapfrog each other quite often. Claude, Anthropic, OpenAI, etc. They do tend to make massive leaps when they have new releases. But this is the new release. Elon's going to put this in Teslas in the next few days. Apparently, they're going to be in the Optimus robots as well. So, and one thing I really liked about it was it gauges sentiment on Twitter as well as part of what it sources when writing. So I think it's pretty important information. So look, I'm just going to read this out to you so you get an example of what this thing can do. And I basically just gave it the prompt of write me a predictive paragraph for the ASX session ahead, focusing on iron ore materials and the copper tariffs over the last couple of days. And this is what it came back with. The ASX is poised to open modestly higher today, buoyed by mixed Wall Street cues after a sharp rally in commodity prices that's set to energise the materials sector. Iron ore jumped 3%, adding to a strong rebound from lows and amid renewed optimism over demand signals from China and global supply chain adjustments in response to the US tariffs. Copper also extended its surge, climbing more than 2%, fueled by President Trump's confirmation of 50% tariff effective August 1. This has ignited short-term bullish sentiment for Australian producers despite long-term trade risks. The momentum could drive gains 1 to 2% in major miners like BHP and Rio Tinto today, providing a lift to the overall materials sector. And it gave me a prediction that the SPI would be up around about 30 points today. So, look, it's, fairly comprehensive, fairly simple stuff, but I also asked it for to be predictive in silver as well, and it came back with with quite a decent answer. It eliminated the crazy talk as well. So, look, I just thought that'd be a nice little experiment for you guys. I might just give you other examples as time goes on, but the level of reasoning now and the level of ability to backtest is quite impressive, and I just thought that'd be a good way to keep you up to date. Anyway, everyone enjoy your weekend. Make sure you, if you're not already, subscribe to the Bulls versus Bears. which is our weekly wrap up, and which will be released this afternoon around about 5 or 6 o'clock. Jonathan and I will give you a bit of a wrap on the week, and obviously talk about what we think is going to happen moving on next week. So it's always around about 30 or 40 minutes. Nice little comprehensive way to something to listen to while you go for a walk on the weekend. But everyone have a great weekend, and we'll talk again Monday. General advice warning. The content presented in this presentation is intended for informational purposes only and provides general advice only. It does not take into account your personal objectives, financial situation, or specific needs. This information should not be the sole resource when making investment decisions. We strongly recommend you seek the advice of a financial professional.